Hello, and welcome to the next segment. It's not the next segment anymore. It's this segment now. Um, the today's segment on our live stream here. I'm still Sharif Billah. You can see that down there, and glad to be here with you. It's really interesting. Um, I'm used to doing videos all over the place, but doing them live and doing them on a regular schedule is really, like I said, interesting. I've been when I was in undergraduate school to make some money on the side. I did some work in a television station in central Massachusetts, and they did the 10 o'clock news. And doing it live, it was really you know, all this feverish pitch. Well, there's a feverish pitch here with all of my staff, whom you can all see right here, um, pulling together this. Um, we're starting to settle into a rhythm, and I want to honor that rhythm that by first of all saying to you, welcome to the view inside the chrysalis. And what this is about is looking at the journey that we're all on that sometimes gets obscured because it's so momentous, and and helping all of us, myself included, interpret what's going on, not from the point of view of, oh my God, everything is falling apart, we're all going to die, but from the point of view of, yeah, it's really rough right now, but we are birthing a baby, and this baby is going to be lasting us for the next 10 or 20,000 years. And this is the birth of a mature human civilization. Maybe the first time we've ever had one. We clearly don't have one now. Um, and so this segment of our mission, today's show is on a world for all who doesn't want that. Now, that is not a rhetorical question. That is uh, one of the biggest challenges that we have as the thinking people, the imaginal cells, the holders of the butterfly energy as this caterpillar is collapsing all around us. But before we do that, we are going to do what we've always, this long tradition of four broadcasts. Um, we are going to be doing a meditation, and I'm getting my timer out so that I don't go too wild here. Um, Actually, perhaps at some point in time, we should have a program that really does take us too wild. We'll meditate and see if we can raise the spirit that way. However, we're going to go a couple of minutes. I'm going to invite you, if you feel comfortable, to close your eyes. I'm going to invite you to calm down. I'll invite you to center yourself, not in your thoughts, but in your heart. Take a deep breath into your heart and let it go. Take another deep breath and let it go with a sigh. In your deep breath, take fresh energy into your whole body. And on the outward breath, let go of any stale energy that you're still holding on to. Mhm. Relax deeper. And be ready to come back to your center. And when you are ready, open your eyes and we will begin. Okay. Um, let me begin by saying, when I first set up these live casts, I my goal was to do 10 or 15 minutes and then we're done. And I quickly realized that 10 or 15 minutes is not long enough to do justice to almost any topic and then still also have time for news, comments, and everything else. So we expanded to 30 minutes. And now I'm finding myself constrained by the 30 minutes. But we're going to keep that for a while so that I can get settled down into that. But I came across a quote that sparked my thinking around who would not want a world that works for all living beings. Um, the quote is from one of the people that I talk about as being in my lineage. That I didn't start this. I'm not going to end this. This is a process by which humanity is expanding into a new way of thinking about ourselves and a new way of thinking about our reality. And we can't get to the new stuff until we let go of the old stuff. You can't halfway be a caterpillar and halfway be a butterfly. One process stops and the other starts. And this is a quote from one of the people I think of as being in my lineage, and that is Václav Havel, the former dissident, the former prisoner of the Soviet Union, and the former, well, he's passed on now, but became the president of Czechoslovakia and then the president of the Czech Republic. And I'm reading from his book called The Art of the Impossible. And the subtitle is Politics as Morality in Practice. I find it interesting that one of the things that we deal with in American politics is politics as immorality in practice. So the quote he does. This is a quote rich book. Some of you have heard me say that I think that Václav Havel was the most important political writer since Thomas Jefferson. I find it amazing that people don't read him. I find, when I quote Havel, people look at me like, oh, yeah, I remember him. He did something in Europe, didn't he? As opposed to recognizing that, yeah, this guy had a revolution, the Velvet Revolution, without firing a shot, defeated the second largest superpower on Earth without firing a single bullet. And I think it's time for us to ask the question, who doesn't want that to happen? So anyway, my Havel quote is, oh, and I picked a quote by just simply opening this book today and just turned to this page and said, this is really cool. He says, in a world of global civilization, only those who are looking for a technical trick to save that civilization need feel despair. But for those who believe in all modesty in the mysterious power of their own human being, which mediates between them and the mysterious power of the world's being, have no reason to despair at all. I'm going to read that one again. In a world of global civilization, only those who are looking for a technical trick to save that civilization need feel despair. But for those who believe in all modesty in the mysterious power of their own being, which mediates between them and the mysterious power of the world's being, have no reason to despair at all. Now, I listen to, because it's impossible not to listen to, all of the shrill voices out there saying the world's going to be destroyed. We're going to, we're all going to die. We're all the species are leaving, and we've got to do something. And it's not that I don't believe that. It's that there's another game. There's another activity. We can look at the caterpillar dying and saying, oh, things are terrible. Or we can look at the birth of the butterfly and saying, why were we holding on to the caterpillar? Who doesn't want the world to work for them? Well, the first level is anybody who thinks that they profit from the world's condition right now. All the bankers and money people want to hold on to their banks and money. All of the people who have an industry want their industry to continue, even though it may not be for the good of anyone, including the owners of the industry. They just want things to continue as is. I'm saying in my new book, that the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, and then generally the left and the right are the two wings on a really sick bird. They're actually the two wings of a political apparatus called the party of the status quo. In a world for all, the people who don't want the world for all are the people who believe that they profit by making some of us wrong. We don't get to a world for all without all. Now, that means that I'm not talking to anybody who's not paying attention to the live cast here. That means that you have to let go of all of your preconceived notions of how the world works. I was in a meeting, sitting at a table with some folks I didn't know before. I'm sorry. This is a meeting at Barrett Kohler Publishers. So a lot of the people, everybody at the table is an author, and this person, whose name I will not call, is an author of a book or books that you may have read. And so he picks up my book, Creating a World That Works for All, and he says, "Wow, what an idea! Like that's really a cool idea." I said, "Yeah, great, yeah." I said, "What is your plan for creating a world that works for all living beings?" And he thought for a second. He says, "Well, the first thing you have to do is get rid of all of those goddamn Republicans." And I said, "Okay, you think that to create a world that works for all, we've got to get rid of half the human beings in the United States. That's your first step." And then he thought about it. He says, "Well, that would mean that the world wouldn't work for them, would it?" And it's like, yes, let's let's recognize that when you are saying, as soon as you create oppositional energy to any group of people, okay, um, what you're doing is creating that energy for all, and that gets you right back to the struggle, okay, that we've got to defeat those people in order for these people to flourish. One of my friends and mentors, Joanna Macy, did a book some years ago called World is Lover, World is Self. In this book, she posits that there are four different ways, four different postures, four different perspectives in order to see the world, and how you line up. And I would call this in a perspective of consciousness. How you line up with those four these four perspectives determines number one how you see the world, and then how you're going to interact with the world. So the four perspectives are um, world, and I may not be saying this right, but these are the perspectives in the book. But basically, the world is evil. The whole world is evil. All you can do is huddle together with you and your friends and wait for the end of the world. Okay. Second is world is battlefield. The forces of good and the forces of evil will be doing battle with each other. And of course, you, whoever you are always on the forces of good. Um, Remember, Adolf Hitler thought he was a force of good. And you're always battling the evil folks who oppose you, and they are evil because they oppose you. Um, okay, world as evil, world as battlefield. And then on the two positive sides, world as lover, that I can be in love with the world. Okay. And I can be in love with all of the beings in the world. Um, and I am uh, that allows me to see my interactions with the world in a completely different perspective. Um, and then the last one is world is self. I'm not even in love with the world. I am the world. I am the entire world. And that process allows me to be powerful in the world in a way that if I'm seeing the world as a battlefield, I'm against half the world. If I see the world as evil, I'm against the whole world. And so, what am I doing here? So, this process of looking at the world, and by the way, that's the name of her book, World as Lover, World as Self. And so the process that we are doing that we have with that um, is to look at the world in a different way. And I'm going to highlight this with um, some of the perspectives that came out of the last live stream. And if I'm doing this right, you'll be able to read this. Oh, and by the way, picking on my friend. I'm not picking. I'm highlighting this wake up call that Jim Gaudino in our last call got. Um, and Jim's been a friend. Dr. Gaudino has been a friend of mine for a while. My coffee house buddy, and unfortunately, after COVID, we've been life has been life. Um, so in last our last sessions, I guess that was Monday, comments. Um, Jim made this comment. Um, he said, unfortunately, Coin and KOIN is one of the media outlets here in the Portland area. Coin and other local media has been brought up by Sinclair, a right-wing organization pushing their radical conservative agenda. Okay, so this is a statement that is easily recognizable, especially in the Portland area. No one would blink at somebody saying something like this. Okay. Well, I said something about that. And I said, it may be that the right wing has an agenda. The left wing also has an agenda and can be equally wrong-headed and wrong-footed on that agenda. I said it more eloquently on Monday. You should go see the recording. And right after that, Jim said, you are correct. Left wing can be just as unbalanced. In my observation, what we see in news reporting on TV and other media is advertising. Time does not allow me to get to say how correct that statement is. It's entertainment in a world that we don't need to be entertained. We need to be informed about the things that need to be changed, and the process by which we change it, and start understanding what's really important. Okay. Um, and again, I'm looking at I've got a countdown timer, and I'm looking at my minutes disappearing here. And then finally, Jim said, I agree we are here as thinking humans. I believe humility and seeking truth helps us to grow. Now, that starts sounding downright Gandhian. Okay. I mean, this a statement, we're thinking humans, we have to start acting like that. We are powerful and humble at the same time. And our quest is not a right-wing quest. Our quest is not a left-wing quest. Our quest is a quest for truth, for being in truth and living truth, not living a right-wing truth, not living a left-wing truth, living on our planet as though we're in love with it, living on the planet as though the planet is all of us, and we need to start doing things in a different way. Okay, but what keeps us from being able to do that? I've watched this happen over and over again, that people are mouthing all of the negative crap that comes across their way in a given day, and they're repeating it just to because they heard it, not because they thought about it. I was talking to a group of folks in the gym the other day, and one of them was talking about people who were acting less conscious than we would like them to act. And he said, oh, yeah, well, they're all just a bunch of fucking idiots. And I said, you may disagree with their behavior. You may disagree with how they act, but I'm not prepared to call anybody an idiot. I am I have been wrong before, and I appreciate it when people are gentle with me when I'm wrong, and therefore I'm going to be gentle with others when they're wrong, when I believe they're wrong. Now, so I'm talking directly to this guy, and there's 7 or 8 people listening to me, and everybody backpedals from that statement. Oh yeah, yeah, we shouldn't be calling people idiots, and um, uh, the guy said something very important. He says, "Oh yeah, I said that because I think sometimes I'm an idiot." And I said, "Well, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe your consciousness is more important than that. Maybe that if you're acting less than your behavior, calling yourself that makes it easier to act that way. Maybe you should be thinking about not acting that way in your future." And again, 70 people. Oh yeah, right. That's. And it's not that I'm particularly right. I am right all the time. You all know that. That's called a joke. Um, I've been. People have. I make these jokes sometimes, and people are like, "What did you mean by such and such?" It's like I didn't mean anything. Anyway, so um, I don't. Uh, I don't mean to say I've got a firmer hold on truth than anybody else does. The only difference in terms of my work and your work is I don't state things that are um, what everybody else is saying because everybody else is saying it. I don't make blanket statements like everybody on Facebook is calling everybody else an idiot, so I'm going to call people idiots. No, I'm not going to do that. And not doing that um, is my way of um, living in truth. Now, one of Václav Havel's first books is called "Living in Truth," and that so instead of trying to foster a right-wing agenda, instead of trying to foster a black a left-wing agenda, instead of trying to foster a black agenda, instead of trying to foster a white agenda, what we should be doing is recognizing that we're living on the earth. We're an integral part of the earth, and the agenda is not mine. It's not Americans. It's not even human beings. The agenda is the earth, and I'm an integral part of that earth. Looking um, the at that process and sitting literally in meditation, not just with myself, but with each other, we can start seeing things in a different way. Where did a half an hour just go? Let me tell you a couple of things that are coming up, and then I will say goodbye. Um, we're going to follow the usual pattern that thank you for the comments that are coming in right now. And I saw I took my glasses off, so I can't see them, but I see that the comments are being made. I will read them, I will think about them, and I'll try to respond to some of them on Friday. I have, speaking of Friday, I don't. I hope you notice that I have. I'm expanding my technical abilities in this platform. And Friday, if it works right, I'll have my first guest with me. Um, this guest has been with me for a very long time. She's been with me for her entire life. She uh, she's been with me since I put my hand out and caught her as she was being born. This is my first and my eldest daughter, Khadija, and we will be talking about. Um, and I'm kind of reserving Fridays to talk about spirituality and the practicalities behind spirituality. And again, and for those of you who don't know me, I am not talking about religion. There will be no religion talked about on Friday. Um, so Khadija and I are going to be having a discussion. Most of the time we are in agreement, but there's some places where we don't. A discussion on spirituality and what that means in today's society, and we should be having um, a multiple perspective spiritual practice. And we'll try to get all that in 30 minutes. Okay, so I've been trying to, like I said, keep it into the 30-minute time frame. I keep straying over by a minute or so. So without any more straining, may all beings be well. May all beings be secure. May all beings be happy. And may you be one of those beings. I will talk to you in our next segment on Friday.